Party people, what's going on? This is Samaj Marshall, the founder of BlueDeathValley.com, and I want to welcome you guys to a super special edition of Blue Death After Dark. I know you guys were expecting our year-end award show where we kind of go over the season, and Doug gets to do his annual Doug's Dudes and Blue Death Valley Player of the Year and Poster of the Year and all that kind of stuff, but we're going to have to push that back for a while because tonight we had to do a programming change. And there was some major news that broke this afternoon. Our football coach, Mr. Vincent Brown, he was relieved of duties, the press release said, effective immediately this afternoon. And of course, we had to come on live tonight and talk about it. And we're going to open up the show to you guys here in a second to get your thoughts. But first up, to make us have a real full show, got to bring my two co-hosts here. Help me out. First up, former A&T wide receiver and a Greensboro native, my man Douglas Dougie Fresh Brown. What's up, Doug?
Pride, guys. Aggie Pride. You know, hey, Aggie Pride, man.
Hey, Dougie. Yeah, I know you probably been working the phones, man, like I have all day, answering calls and see, everybody wants to know what you know. So I know it was a busy afternoon for you, Dougie, you know. And I think we're gonna probably be here a little bit while tonight trying to figure things out.
Oh, yeah.
But of course, say again.
Good to see you guys, man. You know.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, you know, I'd be remiss without acknowledging the man in the middle. Always speaks some facts. Is not talking riddle. Long-time A&T insider, beat writer on BlueDeathValley.com for over 2 decades. Current president of Greensboro chapter AAF. And my right-hand man, Mr. Craig Turner. What's up, CT?
Hey, Aggie Pride, guys. A lot of things happened today, and I'm kind of like my phone has not stopped ringing since about 9 o'clock this morning. So, you know, let's get right into it. Let's not delay. I know people are standing by, wanting to talk, wanting to ask questions. So let's get to it.
All right, so I'm going to put the link to the show in the chat. You go to the chat, the link is there. I also put it on Twitter, if you follow us on Twitter. And if you want to go to the A&T fan forum on the BlueDeathValley.com, it's an A&T fan forum, and you go to the football board, there's a thread about this show, Blue Death After Dark, December the 4th. And there's a link I just put in that thread to this show. So there's a couple of different ways to access the show. We want to hear from you guys. First time guests, we're going to move y'all to the front of the line. And then, you know, if any of the usual suspects want to come in, we definitely want to talk to A&T-roy and 94 and all those guys. But first off, let's throw it to CT, to Craig Turner. What is your initial reaction to this major news, man?
I was not surprised when I first heard about it that something was in the works. I was curious about the timing and how the university was being very tight-lipped, which I think was a good thing. Anytime you're dealing with personnel issues or personnel matters, and especially when you start talking about terminating coaches, it leaves a lot out there for speculation, and it's best not to say anything until it actually occurs. So I give the university props for handling it the way they did. I was not surprised. Vincent Brown is a top-notch guy. Let's get that out of the way first. He's a top-notch guy, and just a real good man.
Yeah.
From our time I talked to him and known him over the last couple of years, never struck me as anything other than that. And to his credit, he did do some good things while I was here and move some things along that we had been lacking in. With that being said, You cannot expect us to keep a job going 2-21. It doesn't happen in modern day college football. The bottom line for coaches, no matter how progressive you may be, no matter how nice a guy you may be, you got to win football games. And he did not. He failed in that. He failed in that regard. And I think the pressure. It may not been. It may not. I think it was a cultivation of things. It wasn't something that. It was a cultivation that kept building over the season, over the last two seasons. I think. I think in year one, everybody gave him the benefit of the doubt, considering that we had a lot of talent leave through the portal after Coach Washington was let go, and so everybody kind of bit the bullet and said, okay, give it time. But I think as especially at the beginning of the season, as things were unfolding, it became apparent then that we were. It was diminishing returns. We were not performing at the level that we should have been performing, and it kind of steamrolled throughout the year, and it was just too much in the end for him or any other coach to overcome.
Dougie, now last week, we kind of went around the horn for our guests, and I think most people thought that despite what Craig outlined with the obvious struggles with the won loss records, that he was probably going to be able to come back one more year. That didn't happen. Were you kind of caught off guard by that? That he didn't, just get one more year?
I wouldn't say caught off guard, and definitely not caught off guard today. It's by this point, things have started to surface a little bit.
Yeah.
I was a little taken back by the timing, not because I didn't think the timing was appropriate, but also, or more so, because of that just hadn't been our MO as a staff, over the recent years. But again, like you said, like Craig said, it was buttoned up. Everything was closed lip, tightly sealed, and that takes an operation, Craig. That doesn't just happen. So I'm glad that it unfolded the way it did. That it was not leaked by the university, and things were taken care of, and because that's only fair to the coaching staff, Coach Brown, his family, as well as the athletic department. So I like the way that was handled smoothly. Craig said everything that you could say about Coach Brown and his style and his family. Guy's been first class since the moment he walked in the door.
Oh yeah, top notch.
Didn't work out on the field, but again, I will say I think Coach Brown was teaching and coaching some good things. We spoke on the show about him probably not having enough time to get things going in the direction that he needed to get things going in with the circumstances and kind of the performance that we put forth on the field in the last 2 years. So, that's football and that's life, and that's what you sign up for when you coach on this level. A coach understands that. He's been on the big time level, so it's business as usual. And A&T fans and Aggie Nation will move forward, and we'll see what happens going forward. So, it's never a celebratory moment or a situation when a coach and his family, loses a job. Again, that is part of the job, and that's the nature of the job. But as a coach's son and being part of coach's family, and anybody that's been connected to coaching, it's always tough at this time of year for guys that it didn't work out. So, coach will bounce back in whatever he chooses to do, and as well as the other guys on the staff. I don't know how that all shake out, but wishing those guys the best and their families the best. And hey,
you know what, Dougie, I don't get the sense, and we're gonna get into this later on tonight throughout the course of the night, but I don't get the sense that this is Coach Brown's last job. This is my gut feeling. I have no outside information. I got a lot of outside information now. I got a pretty good timeline to understand on how things develop. I can't share everything, but I can probably connect a few dots with people who totally out in the dark on how this happened. But let me before we do all that, let me bring in two regulars. First up, 94, the good Noop, and of course my main man Dave. From where you at, Dave? Where you living at now?
East Providence, Rhode Island.
Still in RI. Okay. All right. So
I don't think I'm ever going to leave this state until I retire at this rate.
Hey, man, look, if you got a good thing, man, if you got the good thing going.
Good thing is relative. It's cold.
Hey, it's a cold world. I think a few people in Greensboro found it out today. Not only Coach Brown, but his coaching staff. That's one thing that Doug, I was going to chime in on, is that not only when the head coach gets fired, you're also talking about assistants, and I'm talking about not even like the coordinators. I'm talking about, you know, the grad assistants, guys who came from 4 or 5 states and, you know, might be making $30,000 just to get their foot in the door, to say they coaching to get their first job. You know, they got girlfriends and maybe wives or whatever. They struggling just to make, you know, ends meet, and they just hoping for that opportunity to grow in their career. Now they've got a temporary, speed bump, and of course, you know, football season goes through the fall. So when it ends, you're right at the holiday season, end of the year. It's Christmas time. You're talking about what you're gonna do, next year. It's a lot of uncertainty. You don't wish this on anybody. I don't want anybody just to be, so casual. Oh wow, we got rid of Coach Brown, and but there's a lot of moving pieces here. So I think for the most part, from what I saw, gauging some of the comments online, social media, the Aggie Nation has been respectful for the most part, and everyone is kind of said nice things to Coach Brown. When he announced, he put something out on his own social media about, he was honored to be able to do this, and he's moving on. But it's just like I say, this is something that we talked about last week, and I think to a man, most everybody here was kind of confident that based on how things looked, that he was going to come back next year. Dave, when did you? I forgot what did you say last week that he'll get another year? You thought?
The words I was getting was that he was going to return, but I felt like if he was going to return, there was no way he should last him off if he started 0-4 or 1-3.
Oh, yes, right.
Because I was under the impression that he was returning, right? Until I got word late last week. But the thing is, for me, it boiled down to progression, and that's one thing we didn't see. And that was the kicker for me, and that was probably a kicker for a lot of the fan base, is because they didn't see progression. Yeah. Like, I think if you would have went 1-11 and you looked like you showed some level of progress, like we only had one possession game all season outside of the Winston-Salem State one. Well,
the Richmond game was
the only one,
3 points, and then you know what? So that's kind of that's an accurate statement, but Campbell, the game was still kind of
it was close.
It was in a balance in the fourth quarter.
It was. He had a shot to win Campbell.
South Carolina State, we had momentum and the lead, and things just went
in the third quarter. And then everything went sideways quick. And we ended up losing by 20.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which didn't look as bad by the end of the season because they were beating everybody by over 20 after that point. But either way, but either way, I think it's about the progression, right? Because think about South Carolina State. That was our first time losing to those guys in almost 7 or 8 years, 8 tries.
Yeah.
So that streak ended. We lost to the school. Yeah, lost to the school down the road by the most that they've ever beaten us by in the history of the rivalry.
Route 66, they still calling it that.
Yeah, you got these things that occur, and that's why I felt like when we lost to the school down the road, he lost the casual base. When we lost to Hampton at G-Ho, he lost the core. And once you lose the core, that's a hard hill to climb. And so I think for me, I was done with the experiment at that point.
Well,
I was done prior to that, but that was something's got to give. And folks are worried about the buyout, and I'm like, got it, bud.
Yeah. And see, I think some people talk to some folks in charge, and they got assurances that the buyout was not such a problem as I had assumed. 94. Just give me your.
You know what they say? You know what they say about when you put an AD into a contract, right? When you put a coach in a contract, you should never sign a contract that you can't afford to get out of. You should never agree to a contract that you can't afford to get out of. Well, if you don't agree with the number.
Yeah. So
I never.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're gonna talk about the listen. We're gonna talk about everything. We're gonna unpeel this banana, whatever the analogy is tonight. We're gonna figure everything out. 94, real quick, jump in there. Give me your initial thoughts on the everything that happened.
I think you guys said it best that you never want to see anyone in a situation like this, and I don't think anybody wanted Coach Brown to fail, but it came down to 2-21. And this season in particular, 1-3. That's what it came down to.
Well, that's a good way to say it. 1-3, huh?
Yeah.
That's what it came down to.
I think the first time I met him, he is such a nice guy, man. The first thing I told him when I met him during spring camp that first year was, you beat these schools, you ain't got nothing to worry about. We understand you're gonna have some, you're gonna go through some trial and tribulations in the CAA. We got that. You know what I'm saying? We understood that, but I think you got to beat the folks that we expect you to beat.
And that's why in season 1, I think Craig said that, we gave him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, because we knew it was a transition and everything, but going into this year, and particularly with the Winston-Salem State game and how we won that, I think that kind of lit the spark. And once we took that thrashing over in Durham, and how we did it, that I think that game sealed his fate. And
Winston State, we were relatively healthy. Remember that 94? We weren't like we were at the end of the season. We were on the walking wounded. We still had most of our key pieces in that game, and we were in a dogfight with a Division II team.
And the conversation about lack of resources, lack of facilities, and things of that
doesn't work.
It doesn't work when you are talking about the 4 teams that we measure ourselves against.
We understand that you ain't got the same resource level of the CAA, but we're talking about the other schools in the conferences. You can't use that there. Like you can't fly there.
Cannot. Yeah. You cannot. And you can say what you want to about Aggie Nation, but I think we're some pretty smart people, and I think we can put 2 and 2 together.
You know what? That's a good point.
Graduated decent truck engineers, don't you think?
No. Hey, Dave and 94 and guys, I think that's a good point that 94 raises. Like, a lot of, and I see a lot of criticism. We got a lot of performative Aggies on Facebook and social media who want to be like the moral compass in the room. Oh, you guys are overacting. Like, for the most part, listen, it's the same clowns who just want to get attention. But listen, for the most part, the reaction that the fan base had this season was appropriate. I mean, if you have a coach and he goes 2-21, I mean, what do you think people are going to be saying every week? It's not going to be a kumbaya, just drink the Kool-Aid fest. People were patient. There were a lot of folks who looked for people on this panel who looked for the silver lining. And they say, you know what, maybe let's consider this. Maybe that's not, if he only gets there. Hopefully A&T-roy is somewhere where he can log in.
Bro.
A&T-roy
he shouldn't.
Listen.
Sit this one out.
A&T-roy.
Sit this one out, man.
Nah, he's gonna stand tall. My brother,
just because he's tall don't mean he can stand. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with sitting it out, my man.
But
sit this one out, bro. It's okay. I got buttons for you too.
Dave, he had every hypothetical on why it was not his fault and what we just had one more thing and this. So people tried to make an argument. And listen, like Doug says, this guy is a likable dude, man. If you meet,
he is.
If you meet Coach Brown, you're gonna be rooting for him.
Yeah.
But we're gonna root. We were gonna root for him regardless because he's on our team. We're gonna root for him regardless.
That's a good point.
But there's a and we did right. Like we went through 1-10,
right,
and we went through 1-11. So we were very patient, and the fans came out and they bought.
One second. So Brandon Cyrus. So I know you kind of like to stir things up and be contrarian. So what is your question? Are you happy, Samaj? As in what? Because I mean, like this is what I want to do. Pushback on everybody here. I've been pretty consistent every week, right? I tell you what I don't like. I tell you what I like. Am I happy that Coach Brown is fired? If I felt that Coach Brown, you know, if I felt he's just the worst thing, I would have said that. I honestly, last week I told you guys I didn't see a pathway how this could work. I didn't, because I asked Craig, is there any way? Have you seen the precedence on somebody going from 2-21, right? 2-21 and turning around. And I was just trying to figure. I just personally I couldn't see it, but I was willing to if A&T felt that we have 3-4 more years on his contract and they was gonna give him another shot, we was gonna be here every week next week doing our show, rooting the team on, right? So it's not like I had some personal vendetta against Coach Brown where I want to see him fired. I want to see A&T football successful. And if the new guy who they're about to bring in, who we'll talk about tonight, if he can do it, I'm on board. If Coach Washington can do it, I was on board for Coach Washington. I want to see A&T football successful. I think some people, and maybe Brandon's like this, maybe he's not, but some people just like to, you know, like their sport is watching A&T fans react, right? They don't have a dog in the fight. They just want to see people, you know, going at each other. And so yeah, so I was like, you know, I don't think you guys, you know, because I'm questioning Brandon Cyrus. What did you want to happen? Did you want to have him have 4 more years in his contract? Did you want him fired the next day? That's the question you guys need to be asking, because everybody here, listen, we come here every week, we lay it online, we give our opinion. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong, but we stand tall and we stay on our feet, we say it. So, you know, can you guys do the same? That's my question to you guys. But I don't got sidetracked. But Dougie, once again, you've been on the coaching staff. What happens now? Once you're assistant and the head coach gets fired, what is there like a group text that goes out? Like what's been handled? How's it go?
Oh, well, I'm sure, you know, Coach Brown had a chance to meet with his staff and probably called those guys in, you know, broke the news to those guys. And I'm sure some of them probably had been tipped or knew a little bit ahead of time. But, you know, those are always tough conversations. You know, as we mentioned, that world of coaching, but especially college football is ever changing, ever moving. So, you know, this time up until the coaching convention, I mean, some of those guys will be looking for new jobs. Some of those guys will probably get snapped up as soon as they hit the market, because coaches are always looking to improve their rosters. But for the most part, you know, it's business as usual, man. If you're still here, you're still recruiting and you're still trying to improve that roster and do what you can as long as you're employed by the university. And if you've been dismissed and it's time to pack up, then you're moving on and you're probably watching some football from the couch this weekend. But
yeah,
you know, tough situation. But you know, ideally, you'd like to be a guy that's still in the fold or possibly having a chance to coach on the next staff if you get that opportunity. There was a story out. What's my man from LSU? I can't think of his name.
Chip Kelly?
No, not Chip Kelly. He retired for Chip Kelly. They kind of forced him out of the door.
Go Tigers! That guy.
Yeah.
Ed Origin.
Yeah, Ed Origin. You know,
he
was out at USC.
Yeah.
You know, he talks about how that staff was let go and he was out on the road recruiting. You know, even though the staff was gone. So he ended up running into Coach Carroll when he was out at a high school game. He wasn't even supposed to be at that game. He was just out recruiting still. And Coach Carroll was like, you know, what are you doing here with that USC stuff on? And he was like, you know, for the most part, he whispered to him, hey, I just got the USC job. But, you know, because Coach Carroll saw him out on the road still recruiting, he kept him around that year as part of his first year at USC, kept him on that staff, and they ended up, you know, having a pretty solid recruiting class. You know, the progression USC made. So sometimes still working hard, keeping your nose to the ground, and can kind of help you out, continue to help the school, and you know, some of those guys that may lead to the next gig, whether it's here or somewhere else. But that's that coaching carousel, man. And again, we root for those guys and their family.
Yeah,
it's always a tough situation, man. And when we grow close to those guys while they're here, I always hate to see all of our coaches go, man. If you spend a little time at A&T, that means you probably made your way over to the tailgate or at least had a couple conversations with the guys on this board. So hate to see those guys go, but usually when guys come, you know, they're always a part of the Aggie family. So sometimes those guys make their way back around Aggie land and, you know, and get a chance to fellowship with us again. So.
And like I say, they're real human beings, and like I say this online, I would invite everybody to not only your only interaction with A&T Athletics to be online, but come to the games, come to the pep rallies, the press conferences, come to the tailgates. These are real people, and then once you meet these real people, you kind of have a understanding like this is tough, man. And then like there's families involved. That's the one thing too. It's not just those guys. It's also a whole kids and wives. They got to look for what they're gonna do next. So let me just reiterate. So today, what time was it? Was it give me an ETA day. When did the news drop?
Oh God, I was recruiting today, so I didn't know until like hours later. Like I
94. When do you think it dropped? When did was it about 1 o'clock? Was it? It had to be.
It had to be before that because it was the morning. It was the morning because it had to be between 10 and 12.
It was like 10 o'clock this morning. I knew
right when I was started recruiting this when the news dropped.
Earlier than expected.
I knew that, but here's the thing. I had on good assurances, and we may have some of the same contacts, but I had it on good assurance yesterday that this is coming down.
All right, so full disclosure. All right, so I found out about this that they was the whole process. I found out about it last, I want to say Thursday. I guess that's Thanksgiving. Okay.
On Thanksgiving, I got wind of it on Friday.
Okay, so I got for real on on Thursday, and
that's about the same time. But I got wind that something was going on last Friday, but I got it Friday. This was going to go down.
So the word I got was, this was propelled by the fact that they had to get a agreement in principle from their target, right? We'll talk about the new coach in a second, but they wanted to make sure that the guy who they wanted to bring in was on board with coming. So that precipitated the termination of Coach Brown. And my understanding was if we didn't get this guy, if we didn't get the new guy, Coach Brown was going to still be here. And that's kind of why it's been handled kind of clumsy, because they kind of put the
cart before the horse.
Yeah, the cart before the horse, and they had to put the horse back in the barn after that. So they got the assurance. I think they were negotiating, and for maybe a week or so, they finally got the green light. So they said, okay, we're gonna pull the trigger. Let's do it on Wednesday. And Wednesday was always that. When last Thursday, I heard that it was happening on Wednesday, right? And so this Wednesday, today, and this was always the target. And unfortunately, when you deal with us, right, when you deal with our community, it's hard to keep stuff like that quiet. So I think by the weekend, most donors, insiders, boosters had got wind that Coach Brown might be out. They might not know who for. That's when like Saturday and Sunday, my phone was pretty much like a 911 receptionist every 5 seconds. And so by the weekend, I think most of the diehards had heard something. In our private forum on A&T, BlueDeathValley.com, we were talking about it ad nauseum from probably Saturday when we started talking about it in private forum. Saturday, right? And we got a pretty good close knit group of folks in there, and so we were talking particulars. So I think it hit the Facebook groups probably Monday, right. Monday, that's when Steve Gaither started making his phone calls. I heard something was going on.
Sooner than that.
When
sooner than that.
Okay, so Steve got wind of it probably right after I got wind of it, or the day after. And
he knew Friday too.
He knew Friday. Okay, so like and stuff like that. You got to think this is 2024. This ain't 1904.
A lot of folks knew Friday.
So
not just Aggies knew Friday. I'll leave it at that. I got a few calls from a couple of reporters.
Right. This thing moves at the speed of light, right? And so once the Facebook groups got it, Steve Gaither, HBCU game got it, the people who actually care about this type of information. News and Record, they probably dealing with high school. They're like, I don't care. Wait when you got a name. So and then A&T, obviously, I'm pretty sure they might not even have told Coach Brown until, I get the sense they didn't tell Coach Brown till this week. I hope they gave him a heads up because it says. let me go ahead and read the press release they put out today. This is so. Let me pull this up. Where we at today? We have informed. This is from Earl M. Hilton III, Director of Intercollegiate Athletics. Today, we have informed Vincent Brown Wednesday that we are relieving him of his position as the head football coach at North Carolina A&T State University, effective immediately. Now that's strong words, and usually, like I was saying this somewhere else, maybe on our forum, but when you have a good amiable negotiation and everybody's on the same page, you try to say, it was a mutual decision, like they did with Sam Washington, or he's decided to step down. Like you would probably want to even pay him more just so he would be a team player. For them to say we have relieved him of his duties effective immediately, that means something went a little bit left, because that's not the sweet Care Bear type of words you put out in a press release. If everybody's is going to be smiling on the stage and shaking hands, so something didn't go well. We want to thank Coach Brown for his significant contributions to A&T. He represented the A&T football program with integrity, yes, and character, and helped us transition to the CAA football conference. Right. That's important too, because with the new guy here, I guess as of right now, his mandate will still be to win in the CAA football conference. Right. That's going to be, I guess, until we hear otherwise. And there's been rumors about that. That's still going to be the objective, to be successful in the CAA football conference. Our primary priority, I tell you, Earl don't use that legal degree any chance he get. Our primary priority is to graduate student athletes with an unmatched educational and athletic experience, and unmatched educational athletic experiences, who leave A&T and transform their lives in our communities. Some word salad there, Earl. Okay, restoring our football program to the championship tradition to which Aggie Nation has become accustomed is a central component of realizing that priority. Okay, so he's saying you did a great job of giving them, a great student athlete experience, but being a loser does not help us, in that capacity. So, and that's all it was. That's a lot of words to say we fired you. And thank you for your services. So, gentlemen, any initial thoughts on that press release? Can we glean any information from there?
So I posted in the chat that the translation where he talks.
Yeah.
You saw that. I mean, it comes back to what I said earlier. Translation 2 and 21 is not cutting it.
Okay.
I mean, and even he said, there ain't many coaches that can survive starting 2 and 21. Like right. He said it at his presser. Like he knew.
Which
he also told you I'll be here until they tell me I'm no longer.
Exactly.
Which indicates he knew that something was in the air. Now, whether or not he knew it was coming this quick, he knew. Because he's hearing the same things that we hear and that we discuss. He knew.
You gotta remember too, right? Like, you're talking about a guy that played in the NFL, had seen coaching changes, understand what happens when you don't get the proper results. It's a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I mean, he knew. Like he wasn't all like they've had success everywhere. He's had success in a lot of coaching staffs, but things come and things go. He understands the profession that he's in.
You know who also understands the situation, and they like Coach Brown said, they're built for this. Our friend A&T-roy.
Yeah.
Oh no! Now you in the black. You in the black like a funeral, huh? You all right, man?
T-roy.
It's Black Wednesday.
My brother.
Black Wednesday.
My brother.
Good morning.
Hey,
I'm
built for this.
Thriller, listen, it's A&T-roy, not A&T-Troy. Can you do that?
Just because you said that, it's A&T-Troy for the rest of the night. Just because you said that. The A&T-Troy, the floor is yours now. Hey, so tell me, what's your initial? Was it a gut punch? Were you upset? Because I know
he was devastated.
And listen,
he had to be devastated.
And listen, I know you do those mental gymnastics too. A lot of other folks who have to do. and you, because right now your main allegiance is to the A&T interlock. Anything with the A&T interlock is you support. And so before, when Coach Brown was supporting and representing the A&T interlock, you were down. Now that he's no longer with the A&T interlock, and the A&T interlock said your service no longer needed, you still represent. So what's your reaction right now?
Yeah. So if I were in the room where the decision was made, and I expect there were multiple people in the room, specifically Chancellor Martin.
Okay.
I would still be saying, hey, we need more time. I know this looks bad, but I think we need more time. Now, that said, man, those bad losses.
Oh, now you coming around. I said that last week, and you was like, "Oh no, you still need to give him more years."
Can I finish my statement? I said I'll still give it, but I think for other people, it was the bad losses. It was barely beating Winston, the bad loss to North Carolina Central, the 3,000 in the stadium on our last game against what is frankly our conference rival, biggest conference rival. You know, and I think Dr. Martin was getting a whole lot of conversation.
Yeah,
he could probably barely do his regular job. He was getting so much around this thing, and so
I got to think about that.
They made a decision to do it. Now, hey, listen, I'm going to move on. I'm going to give the next guy, whoever it is, my support because just like I told one of our other coaches, hey, listen, I want you to be legendary around here because I know them being legendary means good stuff for us, and so. That's where I'm at. And I'm going to give this next guy time. I want to give him time. Now, let me say this, though.
Yeah.
This next person has a little bit of a head start on Coach Brown. So he got some infrastructure stuff in place and some stuff is coming along. And so we're a little bit down the road further than Brown. So I might say 3 years instead of 4 for the new person.
Dang. So okay. So Brown inherited a program that was one game away from the FCS playoffs.
7-4.
That was 7-4, and you were willing to give him what? How many years total did we say last week? You were going to give him 4 years, and so
only because he was the first year didn't really count.
So
they all count.
He came in half the year.
So no, that's not true. He started. Coach Brown
started in January.
Is going to start. Is probably going to start a few weeks before the next guy at the most.
Yeah.
So they're going to be on the same time. But I think less than that because
he's going to be the new guy will have about a month earlier than what Brown had when he came in because Brown didn't take the job until January 16th, I believe,
and came in by himself.
Yeah,
with no staff.
Yeah, he didn't have no staff at all.
And that was his prerogative, right?
He had Matted because he kept Ron
and Poole.
Hey, I have to step away just a minute. My wife called and I need to pick this up, but but let me say this.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, I think he has
Is your wife calling or not, man? She said you can answer her call.
Yeah, he has a better strength and conditioning program. He's getting these feels, I think.
Oh, no.
You don't know.
Let me break some news to you. The strength and conditioning coach is out too.
Well, I get that, but that's one person. I think they'll rehire and they'll get it back to where it needs to be because they got the budget and all that kind of stuff. So, more budget money, I think. I think the new coach will still be able to hire new coaches at the same kinds of rates that what Brown had.
So you think because in about 5 minutes we're gonna break the news on who the new coach is. But so you think the new guy is going to have a similar contract to what Brown had?
I have no idea, but I'm just saying he's got a bit of a head start from where Brown started with all these things that we gotten in place and we're putting in place.
Okay.
So I'll be right back.
All right. That was A&T-roy. He'll be back in a second. Okay, so gentlemen, let me get this straight. All right, so where we at? We'll go ahead and talk about the next guy. Now let's talk about this.
Let's talk about the next guy. I gotta leave in like 15 minutes. So.
Okay, you gotta leave. All right. So I'm not sure if this is groundbreaking news, but there has been a name that surfaced very early that was connected to this whole firing Coach Brown, and that was a new coach that we were considering bringing back, and that is the rumor. Haven't heard this from anybody official capacity, but the rumor is that former A&T running back and assistant head coach Shawn Gibbs, the current coach at Fort Valley State University, is the number one candidate to replace Coach Brown. And that would, in essence, kind of bring the band back together. He's a very popular former coach with a lot of the former A&T athletes, and even if some of the fan base had a warm reception to him because he was kind of fiery, and he was one of the guys who, Dougie, correct me if I'm wrong, he was one of those guys who was almost like a chief of staff for Coach Washington. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Right. And so
definitely one of the guys that were, culprit, one of the main guys that was responsible for our success, recruiting wise, just being one of the leaders in the locker room, you name it, he was responsible for it. So yeah, that's Gibbs.
Yeah. And of course, he played his football at he played college football at Central. So he's kind of in that line of former Eagles who come here. Like we talked to legendary coach Bill Hayes last week. And so the word I got was he was the number one target. And if we couldn't get him, if we didn't get that agreement in principle, then Coach Brown will probably still be coaching here right now. So once we got the A-OK from his side, that put everything in motion. My understanding is it's a done deal. I think they would probably have a couple day buffer before they announce him as the coach. Maybe by Friday you'll see something. I have a pretty strong idea that he's going to be bringing in some of his own people in some capacity. Not sure if he's going to have his entire staff at Fort Valley State, but I think there's definitely going to be a handful of guys. And I know that most of the current staff here at A&T got a text message today that they were being released, and I think they were able to meet with Earl Hilton this afternoon for more clarity. The strength, like you said, the strength and conditioning coach, it was reported that he was let go. I'm not sure if his assistants on that strength and conditioning staff were let go, but I knew that had been a target, and this is me just guesstimating based on how many damn injuries we had. Something was happening. Well,
it ain't just football, by the way.
A lot of sports, they have injuries.
Well, basketball, Felton's out again.
Yeah, well, he came in hurt, but listen, so that's the word. Brown is out, Gibbs is coming in. We're gonna get that old thing back. Dave, I know you got to go. Thoughts real quick on Gibbs returning.
I'm not shocked if you're gonna make the decision to pull the trigger like this. I'm not shocked by it. It's a good fit for what we want. It's going to be fascinating to see what the expectation is going to be with the fan base this upcoming year, considering what we just went through. But I'm not shocked by the pick. The only, and I'm fine with the pick. The only gripe I have, and it's a small gripe, probably should have called some other folks, like a Tremaine Jackson or a Sam Shade. But I understand that, Gibbs been here. He understands the culture. He understands A&T. And I think, considering what we just went through, we need that right now. So I don't have an issue with the hire. I think it's a phenomenal hire. I think because he can coach, and he's got cachet. I think it's a phenomenal hire. I know some people will want to go out and about and try to look out and see if there's any other options. But at the same time, I think we can't always have our cake and eat it too. There was a lot of folks that wanted this decision to be had. Some wanted it sooner than later. So, the running joke is always doing, always complaining, instead of always doing, never done. Because we found something to complain about.
Yeah.
So I think we should be happy with this hire. I think this is a phenomenal hire from that aspect.
Craig, your thoughts? Gibbs coming back.
I think it's a good move. And for a lot of reasons, same reasons why Dave just mentioned before he left. The A&T is an odd place. Odd in that the expectations that you have here, the culture of this university and everything that surrounds it is different than a lot of other HBCUs. And you got to have somebody who can who can come in and embrace it, immediately embrace it, and have a unifying effect as far as the alumni are concerned. Uh, that would be Gibbs fits that bill. I think Dave's right. I think he checks all the boxes. Uh, I can understand Tremaine Jackson in a normal circumstance. Tremaine Jackson would be high up on the list, but do you really want to go through that process of him having to relearn everything, bring everything in new? You just finished with that. Yes, he's a good head coach, great head coach, but he still will have a lot of the same baggage and liabilities that Brown had coming in here. And A&T, if it ain't in your blood, you're not going to be successful here. The one thing I can say about Gibbs is that he wants the job versus simply applying for the job, and I think that makes a world of difference as to whether a guy's going to hit the ground running and be successful. Is he going to put in the time and the effort and go the extra yard to be successful versus a guy who's taking the job and say, well, I got a 4-year contract. I get 3 years really to put it together. And, if I make it, I make it. If I don't, well, I can always go someplace else. It makes a difference. It makes a difference. So yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm more than fine with that.
Dougie, you think it's a safe pick? Smart.
I do. I think it's a good pick. Interestingly enough, this would be Gibbs' third stint here at A&T. He started out at A&T under Bill Hayes in 2002, which was my freshman year, when he was just a young, grad assistant. But Gibbs had a great, outstanding high school career here in the state of North Carolina. Phenomenal recruiter. Left A&T after that 2002 year and went back down to Central and coached under Broadway. Where he began to cut his teeth under Coach Broadway, made his way down to Grambling and coached under that staff and was responsible for a lot of the success they had at Grambling. So when he made his way back up here to A&T, we brought that staff in with Broadway. Again, he was an integral part of everything that staff did. We talk about those guys who were on the staff down in Durham, but Be Nice is right. Gibbs knows the culture. He knows that sideline. He's gotten it done on that very sideline. In multiple positions. So, he was a running backs coach, but I think what he brought and what he meant to that team and those championship teams, it's hard to measure. And so the good thing about that is, he was in the running for the job, last time it was available. Earl Hilton knows what Gibbs brings to the table. He's been in those recruiting visits and in those rooms when they've had to talk to young men and convince them to come play at A&T. So there's some familiarity there.
That's a good point. He already has a working relationship with athletic director Earl Hilton, because like I said, he was almost like a chief of staff. He wasn't just an assistant, some sideshow assistant. He was the top assistant for Coach Washington.
Right, and many of those guys on that Fort Valley staff, have relationships with Earl Hilton. So, Gibbs himself, he's got relationships with 3 of the Aggie greats. And if you're talking about being brought in and kind of raised initially by Bill Hayes, then cutting your teeth under Coach Broadway, and then Sam Washington, he won championships with all those guys. So, he knows. You're talking about a guy who knows black college football and kind of that old school football. He is one of those torchbearers that we talk about, who is carried the torch and understands the history. And it is as Aggie Eagle as they come. I mean, we joke about Gibbs being Eagles. There's certain coaches that are Eagles that come coach here. But I've seen Coach Gibbs, fight, claw, and bleed for A&T, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, his blood is pretty close to Aggie blue at times. If you check him, man. But I've seen him in those rooms and on that sideline. He's had a lot of success here, and I know he's got some great memories here. So I know, kind of like Sabah says, he's one of those guys you don't have to worry about going above and beyond and doing what it takes. And then he's beating all the teams that you'll have to line down against, right? He's got that familiarity with the area. he knows those coaches inside and out. I'm sure those other guys down in Durham are not happy to hear that he is up for this job. But it does affect their program, man. And even some coaches on that staff that they might want to find their way home, man. A&T, I tell you guys all the time, it's like about, I say it's always an attractive place for players, and kids are always going to want to come and play at A&T. But coaches are always going to want to coach at A&T too. So I think this is one of those moves that'll send shockwaves throughout the HBCU community. You know what? The next couple of days we'll be on the front page.
That's a good point.
Of everybody's paper. Celebration Bowl is coming up in a few weeks. Guess what? The Aggies will be down there, band of the year, and
talking to town. Yeah,
we'll be doing talking to town like always. So business as usual, man. We up.
Hey, you know what, guys? Brandon, I'm about to bring you in real quick. But this was kind of what we were talking about when we brought Coach Brown in. We felt we were stealing from the CAA, right? Like the CAA was probably, in theory, going to be upset that we got a top guy from William and Mary, who at the time were the first the CAA conference winners. So we were thinking we took the defensive coordinator from the number one team in the conference. This is going to give us an advantage against our CAA counterparts. Now we're taking one of the most respected coaches, at least in Black college football. And so now you think Central, South Carolina State, all those teams, we might not play them every year, but that they're like, this A&T might be back in that capacity. So this is something to think about.
I gotta leave to do another show. I gotta do MD tonight. Let me tell you something. Yeah. Josh ain't gonna admit it, but Josh was concerned. Josh from Josh is concerned.
Yeah. So
he's concerned.
All right, Dave. When you get a chance, man, hop back on if you get a chance later on.
Hey, y'all will be gone by the time that show's over 2 hours, man. That's gonna be chaotic.
They ain't talking about nothing. Sneak out.
Yeah, the whole crew's gonna be there tonight. So they're coming after me tonight.
Represent,
it's gonna be 104 tonight.
Tell them I asked about them, Dave. Tell them Aggie Pride for me all the way, baby.
Yeah.
All right, David.
Send a few of them over here. That's all right.
So that's Dave. He has to go, but so let me bring in Brandon. So Brandon, what's going on, man?
How's everybody doing?
Man, doing great. So look, so the news broke this afternoon. What was your initial reaction, man?
I heard about like last Friday.
Yeah.
So I was just more of so it was more for me. It was more of a timing thing, and then it was just like I'm the money thing. So that's. But I was of the mindset of more of a money concern than anything else.
I'm still am. So Brandon, now that's one thing I did not connect the dots on. I got a pretty good timeline on stuff, but I still ain't figured out. Are we just gonna eat that million, or are we gonna just pay it out? Like regular check installments for the next 4 years. Like, so what have you heard in that regard?
I haven't heard anything.
I can speak to that.
Go ahead, Aggie94.
Checks got written.
Money ain't a thing.
A few checks, numbering in the hundreds, but some checks got written. Okay. And that conversation started on the 23rd in the Chancellor's box.
Okay,
I got that on good authority.
Good deal. Okay, so 94. That's great information. So basically, that's it right there. 94.
I should have started the show like that tonight. We should have just came on. I should have said.
Okay,
come on, Newt.
So basically, what you're saying is Jay-Z and Jermaine Dupri, money ain't a thing, right?
Money ain't a thing.
Money ain't a thing. So we are good to go. We don't.
I told
you. So Craig
called. I told you a long time ago.
Craig called it a long time ago.
Because Craig, I thought Craig, we were gonna have to do a joint fish fry in front of the House of Prayer in that parking lot to raise up money to pay this man off. So we good.
Nah. We ain't I was under the belief of Key Hyde over at Mississippi Valley State, so we won't have to pay him off. Had that clause in. That's what I was hoping for.
Say again now.
You know how some coaches, if you get fired and you get hired somewhere else.
Oh yeah. So
I was hoping to get hired at Mississippi Valley State, so we wouldn't have to pay him.
Right.
That's in this contract.
Yeah, that's how this contract. So his contract is written like that too. If he gets another job, it'll be an offset. But so 94. So are we just going to give him the whole balance right now, and if he gets another job, he has to pay us money back? Or like, how does that work?
No, the way I understand it, I mean, he's paid through the year. But if it came to that, from my understanding,
we had the coffers already ready.
Put it like this: in our illustrious university, we got 100 graduates, we got 100 alumni who can write a $10,000 check.
Okay, all right, good. All right, look, big spenders. Now we can take some of that money too and put it on to that baseball stadium. That might be cool, you know. But
one thing at a time, Samaj. One thing at a time, baby.
I'm just glad. Listen, I'm glad we got the money so we can make things happen. T-Roy, what's going on? Oh, I gotta unmute this.
He's pointing at those people that can write that $10,000.
Oh, yeah. Hey, don't point top left hand corner because you're gonna be mistaken. Yeah.
Hey, can I make my comment about Coach Gibbs, if that's okay?
Please.
All right, thank you. So now they might not understand this.
Yeah.
But if I think you're saying it's him, so I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna kick their A, and I don't want to really say A. I want to use the real word.
Please don't.
With their own foot.
Because he's a Central grad, right? So Troy. Now look here, because I know you Mr. Positive, but you do you understand the methodology of bringing back Coach Gibbs? Do you like that thought process? Would you have wanted personally to aim higher? Because some people say that's not a sexy name, and I tend to agree. Like say I'm gonna be 100%. Coach Gibbs, I think, and this is all dependent on if we are in the CAA still. There's been murmurs that the MEAC has made overtures to bring us back as either a full or some partial member to the Mid-East Athletic Conference. I thought it was a bunch of hogwash. Evidently, some people say it has been a conversation that I'm not sure how much we're considering, but we might have at least been listening, right? So let's just put that to the side. But I guess maybe in the time being, we're going to be in the CAA. Do you think Shawn Gibbs is a good coach for this football program in the Coastal Athletic Association?
Well, so the thing that people didn't like is that Coach Brown didn't have head coaching experience. If we would have brought in another guy without experience, I would have been concerned. So I'm happy he has head coaching experience.
3 years.
He's been at A&T.
Yeah.
A lot of people like him. Our former football players like him. I think a part of the reason
they love him. They love him.
Yes.
Okay.
So a part of the reason that he was the primary guy, or maybe just the only guy they looked at, was because there was so much conversation and chatter from former football players. Even when Brown got hired, they were saying, "Hey, Shawn Gibbs is the guy." So, hey man, I think we'll see what happens. I'm rooting for him. I think he's got some things that are needed for this head coaching experience. He knows A&T, so a lot of barriers are going to be down. He's got a little bit of a head start. He got to bring in the players, and I think he'll be able to do that. So I'm rooting for him and hoping for the best.
Hey, Brandon, is this any good? First season at Fort Valley State, he was 8-2. I think he won the conference SAIC. 2003, he was 8-3. Last year, 6-4. So he had 3 winning seasons in his first head coaching job. And like you say, he has the A&T pedigree. He's been here. I think he had Dougie. Am I correct? He had 2 stints here, right? He was here before Coach Washington.
2002, and then came back with Coach Washington. So his first year was here in 2002 as an assistant, and then came back with Broadway.
Gotcha. So Brandon, what about that resume? Are you digging that?
I think it's a decent resume. I think he has the head coaching experience, which first go around he didn't have.
Right.
The second thing is he understands the culture, and I think that was one of the biggest disconnect with Brown, is he understands the culture, and he understands our fan base. He knows who to listen to and how to tune them out, because we are a very fickle fan base, and if you take everything and you read everything on the internet and everything, you're gonna slowly get frustrated.
Did you think Coach Brown? How did you think he handled that?
I think he tried to do as best as he can, but after a while, to me, he just got overwhelmed. He was just like, I mean, even from fans could criticize him saying it's a great day in Aggie land at every press conference. I was just like, that man, y'all won't let that man do anything right.
Because he kind of backed himself in the corner. And I think his instincts, his political instincts were off. I think he came to A&T with he tried to have a mandate. Like, I'm going to be the guy who shifts things, right? This program was successful. Let me say his own words. Let me bring a little trip down memory lane on when Coach Brown first got hired. Watch this.
I'm energized and ready to get to work. Got a lot of work to do. Got some ground to catch up on, especially recruiting the next few weeks and putting the staff together. But really, really excited to be here. Tremendous opportunity. Well, we're going to embrace it. You know, as a matter of fact, you know, the key elements of our program are going to be purposeful and passionate about everything that we're doing. And we're going to embrace the passion that the fans and the alumni bring to the table. The commitment to becoming elite and talking to Chancellor Martin and A.D. Hilton, there's a significant commitment to elevating the program beyond being good.
Oh, did you hear that? He said, no, just being good ain't good enough, because we were 7-4. So he acknowledged that there was a mandate that he needed to take this program to the next level. And he was confident, which I'm sure everybody in this situation would be, he was confident that he was the guy who could get A&T to the next step.
And understanding that those resources will be in place, the tradition of success here, there's already a strong program in place in which to build on. This isn't a complete rebuild. So,
all right, so Troy, one of your arguments, I think, was he started from nothing. He had like one tire on his car. He's telling you this is a strong program. I got it. Right. This wasn't no rebuild. This is.
He also said those resources will be in place. So
right.
I mean,
and so you said
that roster. That was the year we had a lot of transfers out. Now there was no Bashal Tootin on that roster. There was a mass exodus. I'm just saying, because we put 7-4 out there. That's not the team that he.
Let me tell you what he said, because y'all put y'all, but
he didn't know what he had. He hadn't been here long enough to know. He hadn't been coached one football game or even had a practice with those guys. So to say what was out there talent wise, he didn't know at that point.
Of success here, there's already a strong program in place. And
that's what he said. We have a strong program.
That could mean a wide range of things.
This isn't a complete rebuild, so there are a lot of really very positive aspects that made it very appealing. Wow, I wish I could put a specific timetable on it, but we're going to build everything with excellence in mind and understanding that this is a process. You don't just become elite, like you operate elite in everything that you do, and your preparations and the things that you provide for the players and your training and your recruiting. And we're just going to go out and go through the process and see what the results are after going through the process. It is a tremendous honor. It's a blessing. It's one of the great institutions in our country. Great football tradition, very passionate fan base, a great area of the country to live. There are just so many positive things to like. It was perfect for me.
So there you go. So, and I think that's kind of telling to see how much optimism he had initially. You juxtapose that to some of those last press conferences, and it looked like Obama at the end of his second term. It just like you say, Brandon, it wore on him.
Oh yeah, he came up and said one of them. He was like, "Man, these press conferences are hard to do."
He said, "Man, you don't know." Hey, Craig, I promise you, Doug, I promise you guys, he ain't gonna ever sleep as good in his life as he sleeps tonight.
Oh, you haven't seen the picture he put up, right? You haven't seen the picture he put up with the smile
with his wife. On the couch? Yeah. All that weight, all that pressure just got off his back, man. And you know, like you say, if he got his money, he's good. So I know he hated this going into, especially on Monday, going across that street to the press conferences, and just trying to figure out how I'm gonna explain another loss. I'm sure he was going to do his best to put together a plan, but like I said last week, guys, I just didn't see a pathway. I didn't see a pathway on how next year was going to be different. You know, and we all, you know, four of us was on this panel, and we talked about, well, how many wins you think? And y'all talking about, like, well, I'll take 3. Doug, like 4 sounds good to me. You know, everybody's talking about 3 or 4. And we out of 11 game season, so that means you're gonna lose 7, right? So I still think it was gonna be an uphill climb. Now, go ahead, Brandon. You gonna say something?
Yes, but I want us to go back. If you take away, if you go back before the Broadway years, what would we averaging then?
Before Broadway? Well, that was Alonzo Lee. Alonzo Lee was the last coach that got fired within 2 years. So
I'm saying because I'm going from my undergrad year where I started in 2004.
Okay, so you started in the dark days. So
we was only probably a 3 to 6 win team for about a good decade and a half.
Well, at the end, let me see. So Coach Hayes had a championship season in 1999. Then 2000 and 2001 were both 8-win seasons, I believe. 2002, Dougie's first year, that's when y'all went 4-8. 2003, bounced back. We went to the championship again. Yeah. So 2003. So from 4, 5, and 6 is when
back to back 3-8 and 04 and 05.
Right. Then Fobbs.
Then Fobbs year.
That was 2.5, and then Alonzo Lee was 2. So that was, and like I say, you know, you got to give some blame to the administration because.
But with that, and I think that's one of the keys.
Yeah.
In that time frame, we had not only transition into administration and administrative thought, and me working for the school, I heard one chancellor say he did not care about athletics, which I knew he wasn't going to stay here very long after I heard that.
So I believe, and that's a great segue, Brandon and Craig. Do you get a sense now with this move that was made today that we now get an idea that Deuce Martin, as I affectionately call James Martin, it's just the new chancellor of A&T, that he now has a vested interest in our athletic programs? Does this prove that?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think ultimately that's where the decision came from to release Brown. It's not taken lightly, you know. This wasn't like a group. Well, it was kind of like a group effort that people, you know, wanted to see a change. But ultimately, that came down to the chancellor to make that determination. And I'm sure is very much involved in the selection process as to who's going to replace him. So yeah, I think he's going to be active. Is he going to be a Jerry Jones? No, he doesn't strike me as that type of chancellor. I've seen chancellors like that at other universities that get overly involved in the minutia or the day-to-day operations of an athletic department. But will he be monitoring that? Will he be, you know, keeping his ear to the ground and with the fan base and with the alumni? Almost certainly, he's already proven that. If you didn't think he got his ear bent down in Durham, he sure as hell got it bent in at GHO. I tell you that because I was standing right there when it was being done. So yeah. I think he takes a strong interest. He's going to take a strong interest in it. He's already, you know, he's clearly stated that athletics is the front porch of the university for a lot of people, and you know, it's a brand type thing, and so he's going to be involved in every aspect of the university. It may not be his burning a hole on his desk each and every day, but it's going to be something that he will constantly look at when it calls for it. So yeah, I think he is going to be active
And
more so than it was.
Yeah, well, 94. You are a principal. You've been in top administrative roles. Well, give me your just professional instinct on Chancellor Martin, based on this move, because I'm sure that when he took the job, he didn't think within how many months, 4 or 5 months from taking over officially, that he'd be firing the football coach and bringing a new one, and just having to deal with all this. This part, you think this is on his plate when he first started 94?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because keep in mind, he is here, as the academic leader,
right,
of the school. So his focus is on advancing the university overall. But we don't have 14,000 athletes, so we have to keep that in mind. But that being said, and we've said this time and again, athletics, and specifically at our level, football is the front door to the university. And it is high profile. And along the lines of what you've been saying about, and while I don't fully agree with everything, when you talk about, the stature of the university recruiting and bringing people in and maintaining, the presence that we have, our athletics programs play a large part, and football is a big part of that. And so when you keep losing and you're losing, I'm not saying that we would drop in enrollment or anything like that, but that dampens the spirit of the university.
That's what I was saying last week, and and I think some people might have pushed back on that. I think it affected our brand. I'm not saying people gonna stop applying to A&T and we're gonna lose R1 status or whatever, but when people did not look at A&T in the same light that they did 5 years ago, and a lot of that was because the first thing you heard, especially this year, was how bad. When a casual like my wife just knows that A&T got the worst football program in the country, then that's a problem. That shouldn't be synonymous with A&T.
Route 66 stings.
Route 66 hurts. That's painful. Hey, Dougie, it's clever, but it stings, man. Like I wish we could do it to them. We had 99-0.
Well, we still got 99-0. You can't take that away, but Route 66 stings.
Right. So let me say this now. We got after 2 years, not even 2 years fully, we've made a decision that we're going to go in a different direction with our head football coach, right? You start already, I'm not sure how much these conversations have gone into depth about a possible potential return to the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. But with that smoke, there might be a little bit of a fire, a little bit, right? If we even are giving somebody the time of day to consider their pitch, that means there's something going on, right? Do you believe that this move today, I'm gonna start with Brandon, with this move today to fire Coach Brown after 2 years, is this a referendum on former Chancellor Harold Martin's grand vision of bringing this athletic department to the CAA? Or are we now having to recalibrate and look at things?
No, I think that's just a referendum on Coach Brown. Because if we look at all the other sports, we're doing well. I hear that argument all the time. Let's be accurate. Okay. Baseball, softball, bottom of the CAA. Men's basketball won 7 games last year, and they may have a bounce back year this year. So we were excellent, and we were very, very good in women's basketball. Mm-hmm.
We didn't win the championship, but we were able to make the WNIT, and we had an unprecedented home 3-game playoff run WNIT. So women's basketball was definitely a success. Bowling's the MEAC, that doesn't count. Golf, tennis, subpar compared to the CAA. What am I missing? Volleyball
had a nice
and volleyball had a really good season. So volleyball, women's basketball, probably the high watermarks. Everything else has been average to below average.
Okay, now when we say this, let's compare it when we was in the.
No, I'm gonna say, is that accurate? Is that accurate to frame like that?
Let me say that men's track and field was 4th in the CAA, and if not for a couple of events, we might have been in the running to win that jam.
Okay, so track and field was not. So track and field was not as high as when Coach Ross was here, but it still is at a pretty high level. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
On the men's side, not the women.
So I'm saying we have not been this total gangbusters outside of football. It still has been a struggle.
Well, and that's why I said the key word. I ain't say we was doing good. I ain't say we was being excellent. I said we doing well.
Okay.
We doing okay. Let me
competitive. Can we use the word competitive?
Yes.
And we're trending.
We're holding on.
Well, hold on. Let me also say that the first year in the CAA, softball did make the tournament. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just looking to understand this.
And we have a coaching change. We had a coaching change for softball.
A new coach.
Right. And yeah.
Coach of the year in volleyball. Coach of the year. Let's give Coach a shout out. Let's not just glance over. He was the coach of the year.
And
coach of the year, young talent who excelled.
And we had the rookie of the year, right?
That's right.
And we're getting ready to play in the equivalent of the volleyball NIT.
Right. So
Saturday 6:00.
So that's excellent, right? Yeah. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, Brandon.
Here's my frustration with this argument of going back to the MEAC. I was raised in the MEAC. MEAC was the only conference I knew as a D1 power before I even understood anything else.
Right.
I went to the MEAC tournament back when it was in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you cannot tell me that the MEAC has done anything since 2002 to improve, evolve, or go along with the changing in collegiate athletics. And that is the most frustrating thing with this argument. Our chancellor saw the way college athletics was going. Our AD saw it, and everybody keeps saying we need to go back to the MEAC because of tradition and history. And tradition and history don't pay the bills.
Well, I don't know the CAA is paying the bills either. Because
according to AD Hilton, we get $130,000 from the CAA, from the $30,000 from the MEAC.
But I'm saying, and that's a great point. My counter argument would be, I still think when it comes to the resource gap that we're trying to close now in the CAA, right? That 100,000 is great, but I'm pretty sure the other teams are getting 100,000 too, and we're still the problem that I think a lot of fans, if I can just look at their side of the argument, is we're not close to being fully competitive in the CAA, and we left a conference where we were very competitive. So I think that's the challenge that you're gonna have to sell, right?
But then to sell me this,
okay.
Because people always say, well, our attempts will be better. I look at the attendance number when we played Delaware State, when we played Morgan State, when we played Howard, when we played Hampton at times, when we played Bethune, when we played FAMU at times. We wasn't selling out all those games neither. And if you notice, our attendance numbers have been very consistent the entire time, whether we was in the MEAC, the Bit South, or the CAA. So what? So the argument of, well, if people would just be honest and just say, hey, I want to go back to the MEAC because it had better vibes, then just say that. But don't sell me on history or tradition.
Really?
Or it isn't, because none of that. We had history and tradition when we left the CIAA.
Yeah, I think one better. If it wasn't a celebration bowl, nobody would be talking about going back.
Exactly.
That's it.
It's a party
weekend.
That is it. It's the party factor.
And then that's
really what it comes down to.
And also, people forget when we left to go to the Bit South, the Celebration Bowl contract was not renewed at the time. It got renewed after we made the moves.
But I think now, let me give you some clarification on that. I think it was always negotiated. It had officially not got renewed, but I don't think there was any doubt it was going to get renewed.
They lost the title sponsor the last year before.
But they didn't have it. But they didn't have any gap though. It wasn't like they went a year with not having Celebration Bowl.
As to the future of what the Celebration Bowl looked like.
I don't think it was ever going away. And then I think the year.
But that is That is us depending on ESPN events. We're not the Celebration Bowl is not its own entity that runs on its own.
I agree. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
From looking at
a counter argument.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
About why we could be entertaining a return to the MEAC.
Yeah.
Has everything to do with this new landscape that Brandon just talked about, but I'm looking at it from the reverse. And that is, could we be in a position where we're priced out of competing? Because if we, those of us that are on the in the forum, I mean, Dooms talks about it a lot in terms of being in the CAA and the fact that while we are working to increase what we're spending, the schools that we compete against in the CAA are doing it too. So I mean, it's kind of the hamstring the wheel, kind of effect. I'm not saying that this is the case, but what I am, posing to you is that maybe there's some conversations that, we're not going to be in a position where we can keep up. And so to, maintain a competitive, advantage that, operating in the sphere of the MEAC might be to, our benefit because things are changing. And the other thing that I will say, and I don't want to tip my hand, but what I will say is that one of the individuals that, made sure that we were in a position to push this by is also a person that did not want us to go into this venture of going to the Big South and ultimately the CAA in the first place.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
So I probably tipped my hand.
Now, you said a lot, but and Brandon, let me say, I'm kind of like you, man. I'm a dreamer, right? You give me you tell me no, I'm gonna find a way to make it happen, right? And so that's why I get so frustrated. Everybody's like, Samaj's always complaining. Yeah, because I see, like I say, man, I told you last week, me and Dougie, we got like a rap session every week where we just talk about the possibilities of what A&T can become, and we just brainstorm. And I go by that baseball stadium and I can close my eyes. I'm like, yo, this could be just like UNCG stadium. All we gotta do is fix that, cut this weed down here, paint this wall, and it doesn't happen, right? So when you say CAA, I think we can compete and win the CAA, right?
We can,
but I don't know if the people in charge truly believe that because their actions don't show a sense of urgency to make that happen. This is why I said, are you happy? Because you make those arguments, but then some of the way you come off and the demeanor on the internet comes as argumentative and against us when somebody presents something different, like you say. Oh no. Go ahead. No, but the whole argument with
you're wrong. You're wrong. Shut up. No, I'm playing. Go ahead.
the whole argument that you have with the war memorial. Right. How many times people said, "Hey, sometimes this is just the government," and there's a person that was worked in not only local government but state and the feds.
Right.
They're just slow at everything. So some of this is not on the people.
But Brandon, this is why I challenge you and everybody else who has this kind of argument. Show me the proof. And if that's the case, right? At some point, if you can't make it happen, maybe you need to step aside and someone else who's MacGyver. Maybe you remember the 80s TV. You old enough. You remember the 80s TV show MacGyver? Yeah, well, he got stuck in the garage with like a toothpick and a
You can't MacGyver around the whole.
No, but I'm saying that's
save your breath, Brandon.
But no, this is my whole thing. At some point, maybe you need another set of eyes. Another set of just people to look at a problem and say, hey, I know it's been impossible for the previous regime. Like when I drive by A&T Stadium, why is there a Pelican Bay prison fence? Are you telling me if all the engineers, of all the donors, if we could have found $1 million to pay off Coach Brown, right, in less than a week, we can't find a way to improve the structure around that A&T football complex to make it look, 20th century. And I'm saying, of course we can. So maybe it's because there might be a little bit of groupthink in place with our leadership because they've been here for 20 years. And Brandon, you got any kids?
Yeah.
Okay, you got how old?
I got a 2-year-old and a 7-year-old.
Okay, so when they little young, Troy in 94, they'll tell you. So when your kids get older, like like preteen, and they're like in their room all the time playing video games, and sometimes they eating pizza or whatever, you go in that room, you're like, man, it smells in here. Why don't you clean up? Whatever. They've been in that room for so long that they can't smell it. Like they get numb to the mess, right? I think some of our leaders have been at A&T in these positions so long, they've been dealing with being short-staffed and overworked and had to cut corners and this, that they almost get numb to what outside perception is. And so that's why I say sometimes you need a new infusion of somebody to walk in that room, like, hey, you got to clean up a little bit. Turn off the video game and clean this mess up. You don't smell these dirty socks over here? You got this 2-day-old pizza? That's my argument. Does that make sense?
I think our big issue is you trying to pin it on one person.
Let's say it. My whole thing is, and I don't want to use this platform to this bully fight. I do believe, in my opinion, that this new coaching hire makes a great segue to reorganize the entire athletic department. I'll say that in front of anybody. I think this is a great opportunity. If you're gonna make a change, let's go ahead and do it in full gusto. I don't speak for Craig. I don't speak for Doug Brown. I don't speak for anybody else. I speak for myself. I believe that this is a perfect segue, and we can get this. Let's just reorg this whole bad boy. We got a new chancellor, right? We brought in. We got rid of Coach Washington because we were going to a new endeavor, and we wanted a new person to bring us to that new position. If we are still in a new endeavor, right, and all our senior management and athletics were there for 20 years when we were in the MEAC, maybe we get somebody new to walk into that room and tell the kid to turn off the video game and clean up his room.
So if you're going to do that, who would you have a list of athletic directors?
I don't think that's appropriate right now
but that's what all people always are quick to say. Let's fire somebody.
Okay. Now, Brandon, please, like Craig found out last year when he talked about Coach Chris Young. Don't call my bluff because I've been thinking about this. Right? So I promise you, help me out. Let's not go there right now.
But then I think the problem is, and this is what I've seen online, and that's what I've been fighting, especially in the Facebook groups.
Okay.
That this athletic director don't know what he's doing.
That's a lie.
Which this has been the most successful athletic director in recent history, and anybody would want to have him.
Oh, listen, Brandon, can I say something? I 100% agree. Let me go to detail. He's the most decorated athletic director we've ever had. He's brought us through a nightmare of compliance issues when he inherited his job. And I don't want to kick any sand on the guy who he replaced, anybody like that. But and just gotta understand, when Chancellor Harold Martin first got here, he had a mandate to clean up a university was spiraling out of control. And you remember when Chancellor Martin got here, his first two or three months on the job, he was firing somebody every week because they was incompetent. And people was lying, and they were saying, "Did you know about this?" No, I don't know about it. Your signature's right here. So it was like everybody was getting held accountable. He had to clean up house. Earl had a similar situation. There was some high-profile tragedies, and he had to come and clean up house, right? And I think when we were in the MEAC, he positioned us for the golden era. We don't have the golden era if Earl Hilton III is not in that capacity. Now this is and I don't want to have a big butt where contradiction. My argument is this: we are no longer in that capacity where we're trying to win in the MEAC athletic conference. We are in a new frontier. Here's an analogy, Doug. Me and you, we work. I own a restaurant. I own a hamburger grill. You're my guy behind the grill. You help me make burgers. We are very good, right? We got business lunch hour. We're booming, right? And after a couple of years, we like the top place in town to get a burger. After a while, I said, you know what? I love this hamburger grill. We're making a lot of money, but I want to be a Michelin. You heard Michelin star 94? You got money. Michelin star. That's like the top. That's the top line restaurant, right? There's only like 100 some of these in the country. I want to be a Michelin star cuisine restaurant, right? I got to bring in a new top chef to help me do that. Dougie was doing an awesome job behind that grill. We got lines around the door, but I just got a different goal now. And Dougie doesn't have that background to be a Michelin star chef. I got to get me a great chef from, France or whatever, and I'm, no knock on Dougie. I'm going to still pay Dougie and he's going to be in a different capacity, right? I'm going to honor Dougie for helping me be the number one hamburger spot, but I got to bring in a new chef to get me to that next restaurant level. That's all I'm saying.
You know what you also have to do? You're going to have to also pay that chef Michelin star money.
Definitely.
So Dr. Martin could, in fact, do what you're saying, Samaj. Because frankly, I think everybody at A&T is to a certain degree probably on pins and needles at some level. Right. And so who knows? He might say exactly what you're saying. You know what? We need some new thought. We need some people come in here that aren't stuck in the past. All right, so we'll see what he does.
And if I can add to that, because we've pivoted to Chancellor Martin right now.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why he was brought in specifically was to help us attain R1 status. And in his time at Pittsburgh, he raised a lot of money for research along those lines. Is it possible that conversations have been had? And he's saying, because part of the reason, and a lot of people do not want to adhere to this, but a lot of the reason why, Chancellor Martin 1.0 was looking at the CAA specifically was so that we could be partnered with peer institutions for our academic standing.
Yeah.
Is it possible? Just hear me out.
Yeah.
That 2.0 is saying we can attain R1 status without having to be in the CAA.
Oh, I think, and Dougie, you might know us more than anybody. I think we've already probably on that trajectory. We're going to get R1 status no matter what. I think we've already I think we already got no, Troy? That's not true?
No. So on the alumni call, I think it was, they said that it's a 3-year assessment. So we've got the first year, but we've got to get the next 2 years for the 3 years, which will happen, I think, in 2027, announcement in 2028. But it's not about research dollars at this point. It's really about, do we hit that 70 PhDs in these next 3 years?
Yeah.
Our research dollars are well above that 50 million or whatever it is. So I frankly think in that case, Dr. Martin's position and the reason why people think he came in for that reason is almost moot because we're going to get those PhDs and we already have the research dollars.
Right. So
he's got to create the programs though to make sure that we have those.
Yeah. So I agree. So, but he did say we want to do more than that, and so he wants to do a lot more.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, and you guys may think I'm crazy, but I think having a successful football program where maybe we end the season, maybe not in the Celebration Bowl, but we're doing something to where we're feeling proud about ourselves. I think that's going to help the donations start pouring in. I don't know if it's slowed down, but I heard a lot of people who were diehard donors talking about, well, I ain't giving no more money as long as this guy's here. They might have just been talking. Hopefully they were, right?
They were,
but
they were.
But let's acknowledge though there was a vibe around the alumni base that this is not a good time to be asking me to give y'all money because I'm upset with the way things are going. And so I think now, and here's the positive thing about Shawn Gibbs, right? If he comes back here, right, I think immediately he's going to have credibility, and immediately he's going to have a support system. You're going to see Tariq Cohen back online talking about A&T. And he was almost kind of like, he was almost exiled himself. He had recently came back to the fold. Dougie, we saw him at the basketball game, but I think now, Ron Hunt, Elijah Bell,
Jermaine
Martin is back.
Right?
Like all those guys who were kind of felt like they were cast off, Lamar Raynard, right? Those guys are going to be back. And they're not going to just be back. They're going to do everything in their power to make sure their guy is successful. So, and you talk about recruiting, the best recruit is what? Word of mouth. If you make a phone call to somebody who played at A&T and they say, I don't know about this new coach, man. I wouldn't tell my son to go there. If they give you that type of feedback, you're going to be shy away. If you got other offers, if you got other options, now if you pick up the phone to Lamar Renard and he says, man, you got to go. And we got Shawn Gibbs. He going to take care of you. He took care of me. He's the man. I'm going to be there on the sideline, help you out. It's like a whole different. It's like now we really playing with power. And that's the thing about it, Brandon. That's why I keep telling everybody, y'all don't understand. If the A&T fan base is united, it's like Voltron. There is nobody who's going to be able to stop us.
The problem is, and I'm noticing is some of it is a generational thing where people experience different things from A&T at different moments.
Okay,
experience A&T differently than other generations, and so. It's hard to feel. It is really hard to feel united when you come online and you constantly see somebody else complaining about something with A&T, and it really feels like, dang, y'all are never happy with anything that happens. Yes, we're going through a rough time. Yes, we went through a 1-10 season or one.
Yeah, Brad. So what's the appropriate? Let me ask you this: what's the appropriate response that you prefer to see on 1-21? What's the appropriate response you'd like to see online?
My appropriate response is, I don't like it, but it's a constant everyday complaint. Like I went through 0-20. I was in the 27 losing streak in the cold every day, every week. So some of the complaints is like, some people don't feel, and I know there's some groups of Aggies that haven't been through this. All they know is winning. But there's some that just know, hey, we only going to win 3 games this season. If it's just those 3 specific games, we'll let you live.
So you say we should temper down our expectations?
Not expectations, but the volume of the anger every time something bad happens. Yeah. When something bad happens,
I think
whenever something bad happens, it's the AD don't know what he's doing. The Chancellor's ruined the school. I don't hate the vibe. A&T is no longer the A&T no more. I hate the vibe of the school. It's like y'all never going to be happy if you want A&T to be the old A&T. You're never going to get that because the old ways are gone.
Right. Okay. It changes.
Now, some people
it's just evolving. It's always evolving.
Yeah. Some people act like when we have something that isn't good and all of this great stuff we have, that the world is about to end. Yeah. Oh my gosh. We're falling off the cliff. We're no longer any good. Yeah. And I can go down a list of things against people. Matter of fact, somebody did that. They said, it's not what it used to be and that kind of thing. And so I asked him, if you would, please list the good things and the bad things so I could see what you're talking about. I haven't heard from him.
I'm glad it's not the way that it used to be honest with you.
You know what?
I'm sure I'm going to be able to drag him with all the good stuff.
And Troy, and Brandon, to address your point, that is the litmus test. If you're dealing with somebody who's sincere, like some people got sincere complaints, and some people right now are taking the victory lap because they say, I told you this guy was not worth it, they should fire him, right? There's people like Trues and Dex and all those guys who said he got to go. And we were like, nah, are you sure? Let's give him another year. And they say, no, he got to go yesterday. And so they're saying, okay, Chancellor Deuce Martin agreed with me, not y'all, that this was the problem. So there's some vindication for 1-22, 2-22, 2-21. But to your credit, Brandon and Troy, if you're going to be somebody who's complaining, you also should be amplified in your celebration when there's times. Now, if somebody is not celebrating women's volleyball or the WNIT, right? And that's my pushback. Some people say I'm negative. Like, listen, there was nobody more enthusiastic about that WNIT run than me. I'm gonna take credit for this. I created the whole Gold Out movement.
But you was also kind of angry. Why is this not done? Why is what's closed on
exactly? Exactly. So I put that, and everybody agreed. This has been a great time to get paraphernalia on campus. So Brandon, you don't have to be a sycophant to be an honest A&T supporter. You don't have to say everything positive. There can be times where you have a nuance. This is really good. This got to get better. This is really, really good. This is really, really bad.
But I think it goes with the nuances, realization. If it's a state holiday and the bookstore's closed because we're a state university, we can't get mad at employees not being there. It's just like, hey,
but I can promise you though. I can promise you, if we, and I think we saw this at UNC Charlotte, they can find a way to put out a tent to get a gold out. Where I'm not saying it's possible. Okay, great point though. There's always some stipulations, but and this is my last point is, I think we still have got to acknowledge when we come up short.
Okay, now when you say we need to acknowledge when we come up short, define that. Because I think I'm sorry. Because the one thing, because I was used to be on the boards, and then I got off during undergrad because it was like it's too toxic for me.
Right.
But I would say the first thing I really noticed is when we was at the Bit South, we was playing for the Bit South Conference Championship, and you got on the band about not being there, and you was demanding, and I was like, you must have lost your mind about these students. I'm doing this, and you're going to demand of me? I know how the students felt, because I know being a student worker and how being taught to by certain alumni at certain things. And it'd be like, you could do it your daggone self then. If you want the band out there, you pick up the drum and do it. Right. The way you talk to, and it's about, and I think a lot of times it comes in the demeanor and the manner it comes from.
The tone. The tone. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. I'll be honest. I don't care. I'll be honest. I'm not gonna change that. My tone's my tone. But I hear your point, and we actually had a young lady from the band come on here and had a counter debate on that. And unfortunately, I think I beat her. We had a head-to-head intellectual battle.
Everybody know you lost that.
I think I beat. I think
you're losing this one too, B.
You got pep slapped all over the place that night, man.
Because it came back up. It came up again. Where was the team at? Richmond, and the band had because I took my son to see the band at University of Maryland, but you was like, "Where's the band?" And I was like, "Well, the band gets paid out student fees out of they gotta get their money somehow."
Listen. If you gonna get your blood pressure up every time I ask about the band, I'm telling you right now, get the medication fulfilled. Because anytime I want to see the band, I'm asking for the band. I'm a blue and gold marching machine lover. I love seeing that band in person, and it's like like Taylor Swift. If I get a chance to see her in concert, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but if I'm a fan, I'm a demand that. So I'm always going to demand the band imperial. And I'm getting kind of spoiled because I want to start seeing Cold Steel at all the basketball games. Right? Did y'all see them at the UNC when Cold Steel did a little drum thing, that little drum line? I want to see that a couple times a year. So I'm sorry, Brendan.
They were at the Central game too. The women's Central.
I heard they were at the Central game too. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'd rather have the pep band than become a half.
Well, man,
all right, I got this future Aggie that's telling me it's time to go. So
good. Hey, thanks for stopping by and getting us straight, man. I appreciate you, man.
Say hi.
My man.
Aggie pride.
Aggie pride.
That's it. That's the magic word. All right, Brandon. Appreciate it. That's my man, Brandon Cyrus.
Can I tell you something?
Go ahead.
I got something I want to say to Shawn Gibbs. I'm gonna try to get to him before he does his first news conference.
Yeah.
I'm gonna request that he say it's a great day in Aggie life.
Oh, don't do it.
Don't do that. Don't
do it. Hey. So Craig, that's okay. Let's assume we don't mess this negotiation up. Shawn Gibbs is going to be announced hopefully in the next few days or by next week or something. How quick do you see this turnaround happening? Do you think he's a magic man that he can get this thing back up and we competing for a CAA title next year, or is it going to be a work in progress, Craig?
I think he's got to do some things internally first. When he first gets here, it's going to have to be priority. First thing he's going to have to do is retention of the kids who are already here, and get them on board with his vision of where he wants what he wants to do with the program, and have that communication with the players, because that is the thing that, you know, one big reason why I'm excited about him coming back is that he seems to have that rapport with those kids. They can talk to those kids in a manner which they understand and they can relate to. So that's going to be priority number one, is to retain his core football team, because there's a lot of freshmen and sophomores on that football team that are in a state of flux anytime you have a coaching change like that. And you know, there's always some doubt. Well, where does that leave me? You know, who is this guy? You know, a lot of kids there may be familiar with him because they were here when Coach Washington was here, so they know him, because, you know, he's only been gone for 2 years. But there's a whole bunch of kids that have come in here that don't know Coach Gibbs personally. So that's going to be his first major thing that he's going to have to do is have those conversations with those kids, and so they'll understand where he's coming from, and he gets a feel for what they've been through these last couple of years, and find out what he needs to do to convince them to continue on. Priority number one. Number two.
All right.
Number two, he's got to hit the recruiting trail quick, because the National Signing Day starts on the 6th, which is just, you know, day after tomorrow.
Friday.
And then the portal opens up on the 9th, and all those 3,000 football players out there looking for a home, he's going to have to be able to sift through there if he hasn't done it. Knowing Gibbs and how he recruits, he's probably got a list of guys already that he's already, you know, made contact with, and those who you know, potentially will have bring in here to take visits and pursue. But he's got to hit that. He's got to hit both of those simultaneously over these next few weeks before Christmas, and make some inroads there. Number three, he's going to have to make decisions on his staff, and he needs to make them as soon as possible. I think one problem that Coach Brown had that threw him behind the 8 ball is that he drugged that process out for the entire summer. We didn't even know who the offensive coordinator was going to be until a week before the first game.
Okay, but Craig, was that, because I was under the impression, and I don't know if this was just one of those arguments that the A&T-roys of the world made, but I was thinking like it wasn't Coach Brown dragging his feet; it was the state state guidelines. North Carolina won't let you hire somebody for 45 days. So how do we circumvent that?
Well, first of all, he takes a look at his current staff and see you know, who he wants to keep and who he wants to retain, and who he feels like he's got to let go. Do that immediately. You know, you need to do that. You need to do that really before you get too far into the recruiting process, because it's not fair to send those assistant coaches out there to go recruit, knowing that you're not gonna retain them. I mean, you know, you're basically working for free.
So let me put a pause there. I've got word that there was a lot of coaches already let go today. So I think that was done by I guess Earl Hilton. When he let Brown go, he also let a vast majority of this current staff go.
Well, let's just say that staff was gone, but I got a feeling that was. We know the negotiations have been made, were being made months ago or weeks ago at least, about with a potential new coach coming in. So that evaluation probably took place beforehand. So, but anyway, getting back to my point, he has to go ahead and get those. He's got to go ahead and get that staff in here within the next. Can't be more than 7 to 10 days. He's got to get his new people. He's got to name his staff and get those people in place so he can hit the road recruiting, especially high school kids, because most of your high school recruiting is going to be done, because of the way the portal is set up. It's going to be done in January rather than December. That December time frame, that December to January 1.
It's all portal guys.
That's all portal guys.
Okay.
You'll pick up some high school kids, but the majority of your high school kids you're not going to get until February. That's just the case in FCS football. The scholarship, they're getting away from scholarship limits on the FBS, so it's going to be available players. They got that 105 limit. That means you're going to have a lot of guys who are going to drop down. You got a lot of coaches, especially in North Carolina, App State, Carolina. They're firing coaches. That means there are a lot of those kids that we may have recruited back when they were in high school are going to be on the market.
Good Lord.
We got to make a lot of decisions. Coach Gibbs and his staff will have to make a lot of decisions as to who they want to pursue on that portal standpoint and how that is going to affect the kids that we may have already offered or kids that we will offer going forward.
That's a lot of stuff.
The next thing, but I think the thing that is probably going to be the easiest thing for him to do is to make those early, quick connections with the fan base and especially with AAF donors. I don't think that will be an issue, but the sooner he can meet with them,
they're gonna love him, Craig.
With the chapters, with each one of the chapters, and
that's the best. That's the best news. That's the best news.
And those donors, the quicker he makes those contacts, and gets out there, and both not only him but his staff as well can get out there and make contacts with those donors, and me being one of them, the faster he will be able to transition and get us a lot of those changes that we've talked about in these strategic plans. Yeah. We can finally start to see that stuff take off.
And Sweet Jones asks where the NIL money. So that's kind of where the NIL money comes from. If he reaches out and pull the heartstrings of those donors and say, "This is my vision. Can you help me out?" Then that's when that NIL really becomes in play. Because I don't want to disparage the guy as he's getting exited out of here. But I think if you're gonna do a postmortem on A&T-roy, I'm gonna get your feedback on this. If you're gonna do a postmortem on Coach Brown, I would say his biggest issue was establishing relationships. I would say he was never able to build that group of backers or win over hearts and minds. There was always a kind of a icy kind of a void there. And it's not his fault. He didn't do it intentionally. He just didn't have that je ne sais quoi, right? He wasn't able to come in there and woo the pretty girl at the dance. So
he had a superiority complex. I'll just call it as it is.
I don't want to say that, man.
He had a superiority complex.
I don't know. I think he had a mandate from Earl to say clean up this mess, and so he kind of had that. I'm the new teacher. Like I'm what's that? Joe Brown.
You're
from
trying to say Joe Clark, but no.
Yeah, Joe Clark. Yeah, from East Side. He wanted to came on. He was Batman. He came on here.
Joe Clark had charisma though.
Yeah. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that you have to understand, to be successful at A&T, you got to understand the culture of A&T and be able to embrace it. If you're going to be a coach here, if that is not your forte, and then that is not something that you want to spend a lot of time doing, this ain't the place for you.
And Craig, the important thing that you said there was embrace the culture. Right. I think you understood it.
Yeah. But you got to want to be like Coach Gibbs. I don't care if he lose a game, he's still gonna want to hang out at the tailgate and tell why he the ref did this. Like he just wants to be around us, and you can't fabricate that. You can't say check off box. Okay, go to the game, shake 4 hands at the tailgate, go in your car and drive home. Nah, it has to be authentic and real. Coach Gibbs gets it. He understands it.
Yeah, you can't fake the funk. You got it or you ain't.
Yeah, so we'll see how he does that as a head coach as opposed to a positional coach. We'll see. Hey,
good point.
Knowing him, it's not going that's not going to be a problem. That's not going to be a problem here. It's not going to be a problem for him to relate to A&T.
Yeah.
And the fan base or its donors.
Okay. So I understood the portal, the early signing period start today and ends on Friday. Is that the case?
No.
Guys can enter the portal on December the 9th. Officially enter the portal. They're out there declaring now for the portal, but they can't officially go in until the 9th. So, we may have guys who are in the portal now who may decide, hey, wait a minute, I met this guy and maybe it's not what I thought it was, and pull themselves out. So there's leeway in there.
I think Money Brown might be a guy. Money Brown might be a guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my apologies. I really didn't mean to put portal in there. The National Signing Day, I thought, started today and ends on Friday.
Yeah, that's right. National Signing Day.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, for that window for high school kids, yeah. But most of them are high school kids. But those portal guys, they have a different time frame.
Yeah. Did we didn't announce signing anybody, right? Or do you all know if we're going to announce signing anybody?
I don't think so, but I know we definitely have got some people to submit their paperwork. So we have it's different now because it's not like a letter of intent. It's almost like an agreement for like how much grant and age you're going to get. It's a contract. So I know that there's have been some contracts submitted on behalf of some of our recruits. So yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see how A&T does that, right? Does Coach Gibbs say, you know what, let's not sign anybody because they're not people that I'm looking for, because I don't want them to stop my numbers to be able to bring people in just go to the next signing period.
I think, and we were talking about this before the show. I think the protocol is you usually honor if there's anybody like who's got signed this week or whatever, and before they announce coach, I think you honor those. I don't think you like, oh, sorry, too bad, so sad. I don't like, y'all know what Coach Brown saw in you. You can't play here. I think everybody who sends their stuff in this week is going to still be part of Coach Gibbs. That's why we talk about players, his players. I mean,
but can they stop him though? Can they say, hey, if they haven't signed on the dotted line yet, hey, we're rescinding that offer before they do it?
They can, but I don't think that's the protocol. I don't think most coaches going to do that.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. You see that more amongst FBS programs because they're dealing with 4- and 5-star athletes, so they may get a 3-star kid that commits to them early and is ready to sign or has signed, and then the coach, that program finds a 5-star kid to take that plays the same position that's a preference, and that they'll rescind the offer. But you'll see that on the FBS and most of those Power 4 schools and a group of 6. You may see that with them, but that rarely happens on the FCS level. That rarely happens.
Okay. So there's another thing I think is going to happen. So coincidentally, when Coach Gibbs went to Fort Valley, guess what their colors are?
Blue and gold.
Oh, yeah.
Blue and
gold, right? So I saw him on at least one interview call his defense, guess what? Blue.
Listen, Dougie, I already sent them a cease and desist about 10 years ago. They've been doing that for a while. Right. Coach Kenny Ray know how I feel about that. I told Kenny Ray, I said, don't do it.
It's coming back, baby.
It's going to be interesting also to see once he arrives, him evaluate what we have, already, on the roster right now, and see where, because I've been positing all along that we're not as bereft of talent as some people want to say that we are. I mean, I think we've got talent. I think that in some ways we were not using these guys properly. My opinion.
Nope, because the guy in the top right-hand corner, my friend Douglas Freshniferous Brown, he went on the record last week, and he was telling us. Go ahead, Doug. You reiterate what you were saying about our talent level.
No, I'm not saying we didn't need to upgrade, but I mean there are those outside, not my good Newt included in that, saying that we didn't have any talent at all, and I don't think that's what Doug was saying.
Doug Brown was saying something about talent.
We got some young pieces. We got some young guys. We have no depth, and I was looking forward, and I'm still looking forward to what we're going to be able to get done in the portal and in the signing period. We definitely need some bodies. We need to compete at this level in this conference. We got to get better across the board. So that's what guys leaving, that's guys staying. You name it, we got to get better. So,
hey DC, I wish I had a chance to ban you from YouTube because I don't have the access. But if I ever find a way, if you say something crazy like that again, DC, I'm gonna talk to whoever it is. Who runs YouTube? Is that Elon? Elon got YouTube down too. I'm gonna call him a favor and get DC banned. That's crazy.
If he does, I'm leaving YouTube. Man, I already left Twitter or X or whatever it is.
My man. Oh, but guys, so look, let's start kind of wrapping this up. It's been a long day, long night. Coach Brown, after 2 years, 2-21 record, was relieved of his duties today. I guess by around 11 o'clock. The news kind of started leaking over the weekend, and it was made official today. After I think early that morning, probably about 10 o'clock is when the text messages started going out to the players. Where Coach Brown said, "Everybody, it's been an honor to coach you guys, but all good things must come to an end." Then he sent out a text, similar text to his assistant coaches. Said, "We out of here. You can talk to Coach. You can talk to Earl Hilton today. He'll give you more information." Then, of course, Coach Brown posted that message on Twitter, and then he showed a picture of him and his lovely wife on the couch relaxing. So he's still in good spirits and good health. Good thing for him. The next shoe to drop, we'll find out this week who's going to replace Coach Brown. I got a sense that news is going to be coming sooner rather than later. The word I got is Shawn Gibbs is the new coach incoming. He's coming in. He has strong ties to A&T. He's been here in different capacities, two different regimes. He was part of that golden era coaching staff on the Rod Broadway. Dougie, you feel good about this move? You feel good about Gibbs coming back?
I do. I'm a Coach Gibbs fan, mainly for his player interaction and how he's revered by the guys he's coached. He's brought in some Aggie greats. Talk about Tariq Cohen, Jermaine Martin. He's been a part of that great run we had. Those guys lobbied for him. So I think he checks a lot of boxes, not to mention his coaching pedigree, his connection to our former great Aggie head coaches. I think he gets it. And personally, what I remember from him as a young coach, he walked into A&T assisting a running backs position that had just put Bass Knight, Maurice Smith, and Maurice Hicks in the league, right? So, if you come to A&T and you want to talk running backs, you got a lot to stand up to, especially coming from down the street. And he earned those guys in our locker room respect, and he's done nothing but great things in his coaching career. We know how the university down in Tallahassee missed out on him when they had opportunity. They kind of fumbled that away. So
that's a great point, Doug. Because and Doug, you might can talk about a little bit just how he was really the guy at FAMU to replace Willie. What's the guy's name? Willie Simmons. Willie Simmons. That was almost that was almost a done deal. And then I guess the FAMU equivalent of Blue Death Valley got in the mix, and they
even worse. You heard Coach Hayes come on here and talk about how finicky that fan base was. Some of the things that were going down in Tallahassee.
You know what? You know who that was, Dougie? That was Jerry Carroll Nation. Jerry Carroll Nation stepped in and they put a kibosh on that.
You better stop talking about people in their region.
They only had 100 people on the search committee or something like that.
That's all.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, that's a low
anyway,
number for FAMU, man.
Everything happens for a reason, man. And you know, if it winds up the way it could and should, he'll be right back here helping us get back to our winning ways. So we'll see. We'll keep our fingers crossed, man. I know he's connected with some really good coaches. He's coached with some good staff. So I'm looking forward to the future. You know, we turn over a new page. So
yeah. And so, and like I say, I think we're gonna hear something by I think it's early as Friday. I don't think they're gonna step on this announcement. They're gonna let this thing breathe for 24 hours. So I think Friday they might put something out. If not, probably next week, because I do think they want to get ahead of this recruiting. They like to coach to Craig Turner's point. I think they kind of, in retrospect, felt like they were under the 8 ball a little bit last time around with Coach Brown not having a full recruiting cycle. So they want to alleviate that issue this time. And here's the cool thing about Gibbs. He knows the landscape and he knows what he needs. Mm-hmm. He knows everything that he's walking into. You talk about a guy from who's the hot guy from Valdosta State?
Jackson.
Yeah,
well, so like you said, that's still gonna be a learning curve. He still has to find out where to eat lunch at and who to talk to get this done. Gibbs already knows that. Like, he's gonna hit the ground running, and that's, you can't take it when you talk about already being behind the 8 ball. The only thing, Troy, his own. I know you glass way half full. The only thing is, Troy, are you confident that the CAA is going to be, something that he can handle? Because I'm just saying, this ain't SAIC, right? This ain't Benedict College. He's going against Villanova. He's going against the top dogs. You think that's going to be an issue, Troy?
So I'll tell you what I told Earl when he hired Coach Brown.
Yeah, and
that was, hey, I like his resume. Of course, he doesn't have head coaching experience. I said that to Earl.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I have no idea. We just got to get him in here and see what happens. I can't make that leap. But I like his resume. I like the things he's done, those kinds of things. Right. So I'm not going to jump out there yet.
And Troy, and 94, you don't believe that's a big whole difference between football. Football's football to you, right?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's about lining up your best 11, on both sides of the ball and going to it. And you can't put a price on coming from a winning culture. Everywhere he's been, he's been a part of winning. I just don't think, and particularly with some of the defections from the CAA at this time, I don't think that we're that far off, to be perfectly frank with you. I mean, if we get the dogs in to come in and play, I think we could do some things. I really do. I'm excited that we're getting somebody who understands us, but who's been part of a winning, culture. The trick for me is, even in this short period of time from when he left to when he's come now, he has more to work with than what he would have had he gotten the job from the outset.
You think that his salary that he gets will be in the same ballpark as Coach Brown?
Man, that's gonna be interesting.
In my opinion, it ought to be, because he has more experience than what he had. But we may have gotten him at a discount.
But I'm saying 365 for what, 5-6 years? I forget what it was. But 365, and then he had a 750. I'm talking about Coach Brown. 365 guaranteed. He had a $750,000 budget for his assistant staff, right? He had some assurances about practice fields and turf and all that. That didn't happen.
So you the practice field and all and that stuff, you could probably take off, the table. And I have nothing to base that on, but again, we were winning without that. And let's not discount. And then you can say they were one-offs, but we beat ECU. We beat UNC Charlotte.
Jacksonville State.
We beat Jacksonville State.
Yeah.
Kent State.
Yeah, I don't.
He's a part of all those staff guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think
so. And not to belabor the point. I think that number one, he is going to insist on trying to, keep that salary level up for the assistants. You've got to have competent coaches working with you. So I think that's non-negotiable. As far as what his salary is, I mean, we could have gotten him at a slight discount. I mean, I don't know, or maybe he didn't get the number of years that Brown, got. But I'm confident that we're going to see a better product on the field. Wherein I thought that going into next season, we had Coach Brown first 4 games. I mean, definitely 0-4. I feel like we got a puncher's chance of going 2-2 to start the season now, just with this change alone. Now I'm putting it out there.
Well, look here. There's something we're about to get off here, guys. Something to keep in mind. Shawn Gibbs, the head football coach, right? I'm looking at his staff at Fort Valley State right now. Denzel Jones, former A&T linebacker.
He's coming home.
Celebration Bowl MVP.
He's coming home.
He's a good newt. He was the defense coordinator and the defensive backs coach, even though he was a linebacker here. So I'm 100% sure that Denzel Jones is going to be your new defense coordinator. I'm not sure if he's going to stay defensive backs coach, but that's what his title was at Fort Valley State. They had a offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach named Joel Hurst, young guy, and he's OC. I don't know too much about him. Kenny Ray, our guy Kenny Ray, still a good friend of mine. He was the associate head coach and the offensive line coach at Fort Valley State and run game coordinator. But he was basically the offensive line coach, and I guess he did a lot of administrative stuff since he's been around the block a while. Then they had another assistant head coach for he was a D-line coach named O.C. Williams II. O.C. Williams, wide receiver coach and director of football ops was named Tarek Holt. And then they had a recruiting coordinator, Nick Allen, and lastly, linebackers coach Damon Frenchers. Frenchers was here before, Dougie, right? Damon Frenchers. Yeah. So that's their current staff. It's unknown who's going to be coming with Gibbs back here. We'll find out very shortly, I'm thinking. Any guys, just throw it out there. We're gonna get off here. Anybody got a last comment or a question or anything y'all want to throw out to the board, to the panel? Anybody?
Of course, I've got a few. If you wanted me to go first.
Oh, well, hold on, Troy. Doug, you got anything else?
No, man. I'm gonna let Troy go ahead.
Troy, hold a second. Craig. Well, I let go Troy and then Craig take us home. So go ahead, Troy. It's on you.
All right, so events coming up this week. Friday, indoor track and field starts down at Clemson. Okay. I don't know the times, but it starts on Friday. I mean, matter of fact, it's just a 1 day. They got a 1 day thing on the schedule.
Okay.
Saturday, Lady Aggies basketball goes up to Liberty, I think, 2 p.m. You can see that on Flow Sports. Of course, UNCG comes to town, comes to Club Corbett at 2 o'clock, also on Saturday.
And Liberty's on a bad drive. If you live in Greensboro, and Liberty has a beautiful campus. I mean, that thing is pristine with the mountains and hills stuff. So if you guys want to catch Ladies Aggie in action, I would not talk against going to them, see them on Liberty. That'll be a fun place to go for a road game. Go ahead, Troy.
Especially for those that are close. Please go support the young lady.
Yeah.
Like Craig said, volleyball got the invitation to the National Invitational Volleyball Championship. They're going to be playing at the University of Virginia. Against St. John's, and the match is at 6 p.m. But I don't know if you can see it yet. So I'll be posting on Facebook if it's going to be broadcast somewhere. I think it will be.
Is it single elimination?
It is.
So you got to win and go home. Win or go home. All right.
Yeah. A couple of other things. On the hiring of Brown's coaches, I was never on anything. I just thought, hey, you never know what's going on. Is it paperwork? Is it coaches not available? Is it money? So a lot of things can go on in the hiring process. Okay, that's that. The next thing is, just for those that keep talking about the Big South move, and compared to the CAA, they say, well, they said it was about travel. Well, just like there's different good things about Coach Brown in comparison to Coach Gibbs, that's the same thing. Good things about the Big South in comparison to the CAA. So I want to try to make that clear with people that don't get stuck on what was said about the Big South, because there were other good things about the CAA that made it good.
It was two different situations.
Absolutely. So yeah.
It's to that regard, and we don't have enough time tonight. But do you? I wonder if with some of the things that we were saying about supporting Coach Brown, do we have a messaging issue now? Because I mean, it's like you remember some of the strong support that Earl and some of the athletic people had for this move, and then this,
Look, Brandon Cyrus gonna get back on here and get you for trying to create a messaging issue.
No,
right?
I'm saying
we don't have a messaging issue. We handle this better than we've handled stuff in the past. Okay, so the message is no different than any other AD puts out for his coach in the middle of the season, right? It's no different. No different. A&T anywhere else.
Yeah, what was gonna be your question?
I was wondering.
Matt Brown had support 3 weeks ago at Carolina from the AD as well. All right, so showed him the door very abruptly.
So you saying that vote of confidence, you shouldn't take that with a grain of salt. If somebody says that, that's just
no. Hey, listen, I think I said this to some people.
Yeah,
so I heard somebody say something that they talked to Earl a few days ago, and as I understood it from what they said, that Earl was still in Brown's corner. The point is, it might not have been, and I'm saying might not because I don't know the answer. It might not have been Earl's decision. Somebody else made it for him.
It wasn't.
This is what we're gonna do.
It wasn't.
Can more than one thing be true at one time, right? Like
yes.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of know, but I don't want to say it because I don't know for sure.
I got you. That's fair.
I'll say it. It wasn't.
It was Craig's decision. He did that too.
Craig got the juice.
Go back and look at my NCCU tape. That's all I gotta say.
Oh Lord. Oh man. Hey,
pretty much summed it up.
Hey, what they said, The Godfather, Craig, I knew it was you all along. I knew it was you. My man. All right, Troy, what else you got? Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's it. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. And Troy, I commend you. You handled this better than I thought you would, because everybody was like, Troy's gonna be under this bed, embarrassed because like I say, you stood, you wear your heart on your sleeves, and you stood here on this panel last week, and you said, no, I don't care what happens, I want him back 2 more years if need be. He got to have time. He didn't have a full recruit class. The dog ate his homework. Skies falling. All this. You had every reason why he needed to come back. Whatever happened, Earl and Chancellor Martin didn't agree with you because they pulled the trigger.
Hey, look, I'm not the one hearing all that stuff and got to make those decisions. So I can say almost anything. So, but Coach Broadway said basically the same thing I said.
Yeah.
When he first came in, guess what he said?
What's that?
You better get me now. Because what he was saying in the back in relation to that was, when I bring my folks in here, it's going to be a different story.
So you still, before I go to you, Craig, to take us home, you still believe that there was an arrested development. He didn't get a fair shake on building his program. Is that your claim? Because we didn't give him time to get his guys in here.
No, I'm not saying that necessarily. I'm just saying I would have given him more time. But I do recognize that how it went down, all the bad losses and all that stuff, and they could play a big role in this thing. So with Coach Gibbs, guess what? I'm giving him 3 years. I'm starting out at 3 years. And I hope he starts winning early, but I think he needs time to bring his folks in.
Okay. All right, Craig, what you got, man? Let's get out of here. It's been a long night. Long day.
Yeah, it's been a long day, and I think A&T fans, the fan base in general, can at least for one night sit back and take a deep breath and relax a little bit. It's been a very tense 3.5, 4 months this football season. It was tough. I mean, it was tough. It was tough for tough for everybody, but especially tough for diehard Aggies who've been around for a long time, like myself. Because I saw some things this year that just, it made up my mind a long time ago that this day was going to come. It was a question of not when, but how, and how it was going to take place, and whether we were astute enough to have a plan and an exit strategy on the Brown era, and it proved that the university was well aware of what was going on and what it needed to do, and they executed it. What is A&T football going to look like next fall? My guess is that it's going to be very similar to what we saw in the very first years of the Rob Broadway era. I think it's going to resemble somewhat what Coach Hayes had to deal with when he came here back in '88. I think we'll be a pretty decent team next year. And I think probably within 2 years, that second or third year, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be more than okay.
The good thing is we're going to have patience, though. I think right now, since we kind of at rock bottom, Gibbs is coming in where he's going to, for like no other coach before him, maybe since Broadway, the expectations are low, and I think he's going to have that time to do what he needs to do.
Yeah. And I think the vibe is totally different now because it feels like now that we've got somebody who knows us, who's one of us, and I think that goes a long way. I kid and joke. A lot of my FAMU friends about they don't want anybody down there but a Rattler. A&T is a little bit different. We'll take somebody who graduated from the opposite camp, and then convert them. We've done that with a whole lot of Central coaches, and we about to have some conversion therapy take place here in the next day or two. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I'm looking forward to Coach Gibbs coming in and taking over.
Well, you know how Michigan says they want a Michigan man to coach at Michigan. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, we kind of want Aggie men to coach at A&T, and you don't have the crazy thing about it is you can still have graduated from Central and become an Aggie man. Like Bill Hayes is an Aggie man. Rob Broadway coaches Central, he's an Aggie man. Shawn Gibbs, when he comes back here, he's gonna be an Aggie man. He understands us. He gets it. It's in his DNA. He understands Blue Death Valley a lot too. You're talking about things that bounce off his skin and he laughs at. He understands me. He understands our message board. That's not going to be a distraction for him at all. Once somebody just asks a question, what happens to the walk-ons? Anytime there's a regime change, walk-ons are all kind of like there's not like any type of contractual attachment. So basically, it's just really preference. It's almost like you gotta win over the new staff, and I think I'm not sure what a preferred walk-on has, if there's any type of agreement with them, but everybody's kind of auditioning. And that's even for the people on scholarship, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Everybody's got an audition. Even with the new chancellor now, I believe that everybody who works at 1601 East Market Street, their antenna is up. Because if he can pull the trigger on a coach with $365,000 a year contract guarantee for 3 or 4 more years, then he can pull trigger on Johnny from the mailroom. You know what I'm saying? Nobody is above the law at A&T. If you're not fitting his criteria, so that I think everybody should be kind of not on eggshells, but they should be, make sure that lunch break is only an hour, not an hour and 20, right? Because you got something, Troy?
Yeah, one more thing. I almost forgot about this.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of level set folks on our men's basketball team.
Thank you.
So, and this word is coming up again, injuries. So Injuries can be detrimental. So you can
Especially
everybody has injury.
Another thing on that regard, though, I think we mentioned earlier, though, we got rid of our strength and conditioning coach. So I think there's going to be a new methodology, a new philosophy on how we handle injuries and prevent injuries. So I think that's something to watch out for. If there's an announcement on it, hey Dougie, I heard a name float today. You talk about bringing the band back together.
Fingers
crossed. You talk about bringing the band back together. Hey,
fingers crossed.
Hey, let me say this to y'all who can read between the lines. The CW is not just a good TV show on cable TV network. The CW helped win some celebration bowls for A&T. So keep that in mind. Keep that.
I got you. Yeah. Okay, so we have 5 kids that are not playing right now that I expected would be getting either a lot or some playing time in our rotation. And so what that's meant to us is that we are now playing a 7-man rotation. And of course, kids get tired. So I will tell you that one of those kids,
basketball.
In basketball.
Okay.
In basketball. One of those 5 is not coming back. I was told he's going to transfer, going into the portal.
From this year's team.
From this year's team.
Already?
One of them I have no idea what's going on with him. Haven't seen him. Will Felton looks like he hurt his knee again pretty bad. We'll see if he plays again. And then the other one, 2 I think are coming back in January. So 2 or 3 out of the 5 may come back. And so we'll see. So I just want everybody to know that we got unavailability of players right now that I thought were going to either have a lot of playing time or some playing time in our rotation.
That kind of sucks. Thanks for that, Troy.
Detrimental.
Yeah, that's detrimental. Yeah, that's not good. All right, so we'll figure that out. But let's get out of here. So, of course, everybody, thank you. Go ahead, Dougie.
Yeah, man. I was like, before we go, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't give our condolences out to the Johnson family.
Yes, thank you, Dougie. Thank you.
Go ahead.
No, please. You take it away. I'm glad you mentioned it.
No, you got it, man.
But Yvonne Johnson, she was Aggie royalty. She graduated from Bennett and A&T, had degrees from Bennett and A&T. Her family was on, was always on campus. She was the first Black mayor in the city of Greensboro, and she was kind of like the queen of the city council, right? She just was always in A&T politics. Greensboro politics. She's making things happen for the for our side of town, right? And she was always in the civil rights movement, making sure that people got a fair treatment. She was a giant, Yvonne Johnson, a giant in every sense of the word when it came to fighting for our people. And she passed away today, I think at the age of 82. It was kind of a shock to me. You guys know Walter Johnson, her son. He was the announcer for the women's basketball games. He's always front row, and she had doors that went to here. So just keep the Johnson family in your prayers. They are Greensboro royalty, and that's a big loss to the A&T community tonight. Thank you so much, Doug, for bringing that back. We would have been totally remiss if we didn't mention that tonight. This is a somber night for all the Aggies in that regard. But definitely, condolences and our thoughts and prayers for the Johnson family tonight. But thanks, Doug, for bringing that back. So we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna definitely get out of here. And 94, thanks for joining us again. Troy, thanks for coming out of hiding and giving your thoughts. Doug, you my man, my brother. We're gonna be chatting probably tomorrow on the latest. Yeah, me and Doug like little schoolgirls, man. Like they just don't know. Hey, I'm an old man. I got a job, a mortgage, man. I don't have too many like things that my diversions. But hey, brainstorming about A&T football with my brother Doug Brown is one of the highlights of my day. So I always look forward to those phone calls, man. And of course, the mayor Mayor, we gonna have a big show next week, guys. And barring any other news, right? So next Wednesday, we hopefully will get our annual Blue Death Award show. We got to nominate some people, and Doug's got to get his dues out, and we're gonna do some special acknowledgments. This is our 20th anniversary. We've been here for 20 years. You guys have stuck with us for 2 decades, so we're gonna have some fun next week. So for all the guys, Craig and Doug, Troy, 94, I am Samaj Marsh. This has been Blue Death After Dark. It's been a long show, almost 2.5 hours, but we had to cover a lot of stuff. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Thank you, everybody watching us on Facebook. Everybody will be on the message boards tomorrow fighting and acting the fool and causing chaos like we normally do. Till then, y'all take care. Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride.
Yo.